Welcome! Court is now in session for the trial of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy on Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The original 3 visual novel adventure style games that first introduced us to the wacky world of Ace Attorney makes their debut on home consoles and PC for the first time. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Justice for All, and Trials and Tribulations are all here for you to play through in stunning high definition in a true 16:9 presentation for the price of $29.99 US. Fun fact, I had already imported the Japanese version of this new collection for my Nintendo Switch back in February, and been playing it on and off since then. But when Capcom sent me a PS4 code and asked me to deliver my verdict on the English release, I could not raise an objection to that request as a huge fan of the series. So, for this review, I will be cross-examining both the Nintendo Switch and PS4 versions to find the truth that they contain. No major story spoilers though, because I could find myself in the defendant's seat if I tell all. Besides, these games are best experienced for yourself. That ends my opening statement. Is the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy guilty or not guilty? I will now present my evidence to the court. Take that! For the newcomers that are not familiar with the Ace Attorney series, I will briefly describe each of the playable games to you a bit later, or maybe a lot later. For now, I want to cross-examine the collection itself, version comparisons, and the new and returning features for seasoned lawyers. Exhibit A, the options. Take that! To be perfectly clear, the Japanese version is identical to the English release in every way, having support for both languages. So eat your burgers, Apollo, and enjoy Japanifornia, why don't ya? Oh, and check this out!
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Yeah, now that is satisfying. The rest of the options available are basic, but are enough for a visual novel game such as this. Standard volume controls for background music and sound effects separately, which is a welcome sight. Text skip for when you want to fast forward to a specific part. You can skip one box at a time, full auto skip by holding the B button, or turn off the skip entirely if you don't want to accidentally miss any dialogue. You may also enable or disable the screen shaking or rumble, which I believe rumble is new to this specific iteration of the trilogy. Granted, rumble is seldom used, being reserved for the objections, take that, and hold it when the characters slam their desk, when the screen shakes, and other such events. Also, it is a standard basic rumble, so no HD rumble here for your Switch owners, but I still like the rumble, so I welcome this feature to punctuate certain moments. Last option is text box transparency with off, low, and high choices. By default, transparency is turned off, which is not really ideal since it means you can't see any of the background behind the text box. So I personally turn the transparency to high so the background and characters are still visible. Plus it most closely matches the text box of the original version. Meanwhile, during gameplay, you can press start at any time to bring up the save menu where you can essentially make a save state at that point you are currently at, and either go back or exit to the title screen. This means save scumming is all aboard, boys. You can throw all of your evidence at the same statement in a cross-examination much easier than you ever could in this compilation. Saving no longer kicks you out of the game automatically, and loading a save is instantaneous too. What's more, you have access to a whopping 10 save slots between all 3 games. Eureka! All in all, this is the most robust feature set I've seen for the original trilogy, and I can think of nothing else I would add besides more languages, which Capcom has already announced that a patch including the additional languages is coming in summer of 2019. Good on you, Cappy. Though a Spanish translation is oddly missing from this patch. I guess no protesto! Exhibit B, the presentation. Take that! When Capcom brought the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy to mobile devices, the developers took the opportunity to give the graphics a new coat of paint. They took the pixel-based sprites from the original games and painstakingly repainted every asset into a look more suitable for high-definition displays. That remaster of the trilogy was then ported to the Nintendo 3DS, where it was still a noticeable upgrade over the original graphics, but the 3DS's 240p resolution didn't do it proper justice. So today's console port presents these HD assets to the big screen, and glorious 16:9 1080p 60 frames per second for the first time. And these graphics more than hold up. In fact, it's quite gorgeous. Not only the characters, but the backgrounds too are crisp, sharp, and clear. The characters displayed here remind me of the high quality character renders displayed in the Ace Attorney promotional trailers from back in the 2000s. And there was a time when we thought that looked good. Now the in-game graphics transcends those trailers, and it's glorious for a longtime fan like myself to behold. Plus the backgrounds and objects reveal more details that I couldn't see on that tiny DS screen originally. Like dang, Mr. White's desk has got some legs, alright. But hold it! I do have a couple small gripes with the new paint-like art style. They look great from afar, but if you have a keen eye for the details and take a closer look, the paint strokes become pretty apparent. The edges of characters and objects like in the camera angle that pans the entire courtroom can look rather smudged. Also, I love that everything is in 16:9 aspect ratio, but when comparing the backgrounds in this game to the original 4:3 backgrounds, it turns out that Capcom essentially zoomed into the backgrounds, cropping off a bit of the top and bottom to achieve this. Then they drew in a bit extra on the sides. In other words, while you can see a tad more horizontally, they did sacrifice a bit of visibility vertically. Granted, everything important is still well within the frame, so it is only a small thing in practicality, and you'll only notice it when you're doing a direct comparison. So it is very much a change, and some may or may not like it completely. But as for myself, I enjoy it and the way it breathes new life into the characters while staying more or less faithful to the source. By the way, upon cross-examining the PS4 and Nintendo Switch versions side by side, I have deduced that the graphics quality and performance between these two consoles are identical. Plus, the Nintendo Switch version has the added feature of touchscreen controls and handheld mode. Sadly, there's no microphone though. Oddly, if you press the minus button during gameplay, the control setup menu will appear, letting you reconfigure your controllers without backing out to the home menu. It is weird that it's labeled red though. Why is it labeled red? Oh, I never seen that before. And of course, best of all, you can take the trilogy on the go with you, just as you always used to, but now with pristine HD graphics that look lovely on the Switch's 720p handheld screen, and performance does not suffer one bit. In my opinion, if you have a Nintendo Switch, this is the version to get. Ace Attorney started out on Nintendo consoles after all, it just feels right. Other than the remastered graphics, the trilogy in this compilation is largely based on the DS versions of yore, featuring the same music tracks, sound effects, dialogue, and content that the series veterans are familiar with. Like the additional Rise from the Ashes case that was new to the first game in the DS release, albeit with some grammatical corrections. However, some typos still do linger, but not so fast! As you may remember, the information on the DS and 3DS versions were presented through two screens. Since we are only working with one screen with the home consoles, naturally everything had to be condensed down. And Capcom did a good job in this aspect. It's not an affair of literally swapping between screens like in the WiiWare versions. Does anyone remember that? It's how I first experienced the trilogy actually. Instead, everything flows seamlessly here. Sadly, no dual screens means buttons and menus will inevitably block the view of the main action, but what can you really do? In addition, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy takes a couple cues from Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice with its graphical changes. The court record layout now takes after those games, and my personal favorite change, Eureka! They changed the cursor during investigations into a magnifying glass. It even glows when you hover over a spot that can be checked, and tells you places you already examined too. It's a small thing, but my goodness, this is a quality of life improvement I have needed for so long. I love this. Also, the HP bars in all the games have been changed to this one that's actually segmented off, so you can actually see how much damage each of the attacks do. It's pretty nice man. Although I do miss the green health bars from the originals. Now it's time for the part you've been waiting for. Exhibit C. I think about you. Yes, it's about time I presented my decisive piece of evidence to the court. A brief summary on the Ace Attorney series and the original trilogy of games. Take that! Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a visual novel game set in Japan. I mean Japanifornia. I mean America. Yep, the USA. The red, white, and blue flags. And burgers. Most importantly, burgers. What? Ramen? What's ramen? No, they're burgers. Okay? Okay, good. In the not so futuristic year of 2016, where everybody still uses old-fashioned Nokia cell phones, VHS tapes, and what's the internet? You play as rookie defense lawyer Phoenix Wright, who has a passion for helping those who have nobody else to believe in them, and will keep on believing in his client's innocence till the bitter end. Many of these clients being ones that have been accused, and perhaps the strangest and most complicated murder cases you have ever seen in your life. That's not even an exaggeration, by the way. Along the way, he will meet recurring characters such as his mentor, Mia Fey, her younger sister, Maya Fey, who acts as Wright's assistant later on. She is a spirit medium that can change her whole body's appearance into that of a spirit that she calls. Yup! Court is gonna get supernatural at times. Prepare to suspend your disbelief. And justice for all, Maya's cousin Pearl Fey is also introduced. She is a young child yet holds great spiritual power. Also, she is totally a shipper. You go, girl. And the rather scatterbrained detective that'll stick to you like gum, Dick Gumshoe. But don't go around calling him Dick, okay, pal?
Objection!
Then there are the prosecutors that Phoenix Wright will battle against throughout the trilogy. The fan favorite perfect prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Cue the fangirls!
Oh my god, he's so cute, oh my god. Miles is so cute. Oh my gosh, he's so handsome, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Similar to his updated autopsy reports, he's the prosecutor that will receive the most character development as the series goes on. And hold it! Wright and Edgeworth? Quit teasing each other over there. I'm trying to explain things. Jeez, get a room. Anyway, introduced in Justice for All, the physically abusive and arrogant prosecutor, Franziska von Karma. Hey, put that whip away. This is a court of law. Yo! And last but not least, from Trials and Tribulations.
Objection!
The mysterious, coffee-loving prosecutor with a Cyclops mask, Godot. I'm gonna go with Godot. His past and apparent hatred of Phoenix Wright is darker and more bitter than the coffee that he drinks. But you'll have to discover the backstories of all these characters for yourself. Now, this court system is super messed up because the prosecutors would rather convict a completely innocent person than have their precious perfect win record soiled. And things move along so fast that the defense attorneys often come in totally unprepared for the trial, and they just have to wing it basically. Or in Phoenix's case, he bluffs his way out of trouble. No kidding. Not to mention, often just proving your client innocent is not enough in this series. No, every time you will also have to find the real murderer to truly save the day. Also, you only get 3 days to settle a court case, so yeah, good luck with that. Being a visual novel game, this is a text-heavy series, and with barely any action, all of its appeal is in the story and the characters, which thankfully Ace Attorney delivers on that in spades. Each game spans over about 4 to 5 different cases or chapters, and the main overarching storyline of each game usually never fails to be engaging. Although, there can occasionally be bumps in the pacing when you get to the filler cases. But it's the characters with their highly expressive animations, personality traits that can range from serious to silly to downright crazy are the real stars of the show. Here's a hint for you, most everybody has something weird about them, which keeps each new character they meet feeling interesting for better or worse. Also pay attention to their names, they are often very punny if you catch my drift. Look at me! Objection! The gameplay is split up between 2 modes, courtroom phase and the investigation phase. In the courtroom phase, you will cross-examine witness testimony using your wits by either pressing them for more info or presenting evidence against a contradictory statement. Be careful though, because sometimes the games can be devious, forcing you to press a specific statement before you can actually present the correct evidence. Yep, it can get a little infuriating if you think too far ahead and try to solve the case before the game expects you to. So be patient and pay attention to the context of what's going on. Most importantly, however, be sure to slam your desk, point your index finger, and shout "Objection" at everybody. Now that is proper court etiquette. The investigation phase is where you'll interview witnesses and search every nook and cranny to find evidence that will hopefully help you prove your client not guilty. And get some flavor text like having the very important debate with Maya about whether that is a ladder or a stepladder. It's a stepladder, by the way. In Justice for All, Phoenix obtains the Magatama that allows them to see when witnesses are lying in the form of psych locks. You can take out these locks by yelling, "Take that!" I mean presenting evidence until they are forced to reveal their secret. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, throws Wright immediately into his first trial, where he defends his childhood friend, Larry Butts, another bonkers character that shows up from time to time. He has love relationship issues, give the man some sympathy. If something smells, it's usually the Butts. Phoenix Wright would emerge victorious, catching the true killer in the process, thus beginning his legacy as he tackles his first cases alongside Maya and has a fateful encounter with the man who inspired him to become an attorney in the first place. The first entry, from the cases to the objections to the characters to the amazing musical score that sets the mood and gets the blood pumping when things get heated, everything here is iconic and sets a great foundation for the franchise, even though it is missing the added features from the later games, making it more simplistic by comparison. But maybe not having gimmicks can be a good thing. Even so, the cases here are all solid all throughout and follow the main plot more closely than that of the sequels. The only filler here is the Steel Samurai case, but the Steel Samurai is the coolest, so who cares? Out of the trilogy here, Justice for All is actually the one I find myself going back to the most. Admittedly, it's probably due to nostalgia goggles, as the game was my first introduction to Ace Attorney, after I watched a bunch of Phoenix Wright parodies on YouTube. Yeah, I started with the sequel. I'm totally weird, I know. A big reason for my numerous returns is owed to Case 4, which is among my favorite final cases in the series, as it puts Wright in a situation he hasn't been in before. One that will challenge what it means to be a defense lawyer or a prosecutor. Huh, maybe court trials are more than just winning after all. Gee, what a concept! Other than that, Justice for All is often considered to be the weakest entry in the trilogy, mostly because of the circus case. That really is one of the biggest offenders when it comes to filler cases in the series. The characters and the case itself are as nuts as a circus. But hold it! With that said, I still had my fun of the circus case, same as all the ones here as I was replaying them recently. Who doesn't want to solve how the murderer flew away at the scene, a disturbingly tragic incident, and you gotta admit, some of Mo the Clown's jokes are worth a chuckle. In West Clownadelphia, born and raised, on the playground is where I spent my clowning days. And hey, Phoenix Wright wouldn't have a secret weapon for uncovering lies, the Magatama, without the events of this game, which throws a nice little twist into the investigations. Overall, Justice for All's case quality might have taken a dip, but it's not a bad game like some exaggerate it to be. No, I actually enjoy it a lot. Play this one for Case 2 as it will become relevant in Trials and Tribulations, and of course Case 4 because it's dang good, y'all. Trials and Tribulations kicks off with a flashback where you play as a young Mia Fey and her first couple of trials, which begins the trend of playing as different lawyers in the series. This flashback is important to the lore though, because it's the story of how Mia first met Phoenix Wright. Besides a couple of wacky and fun filler cases back in the present with Wright in the hot seat and the introduction of Godo, who is awesome, Trials and Tribulations serves as a perfect ending to the series, tying up all the loose ends and questions that the series has been building up to that point. All of the major characters' fates end up intertwined in the final case of the century, and it's up to Phoenix Wright to step up to the plate to uncover the dark truth behind it all, and save everyone while pointing his index finger and showing them what it means to be a true ace attorney. Remember, the only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. The Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy is a masterclass in the visual novel genre, and anyone who likes this genre and hasn't played it yet needs to remedy that now. Watching Phoenix Wright's growth from a rookie lawyer to an ace attorney is really something special to see. Don't miss this court date. This great trilogy is now available on every modern console and PC for $30. Plus, the previous handheld ports are still viable ways to play too. However you play, or even if you watch the YouTube video or catch the Ace Attorney anime, which I also really liked, you are in for a treat as you immerse yourself in a world with lovable characters and a blend of murder mystery and court drama that will keep you on the edge of your seat. And there's never been a better time to take out the attorney's badge and get your pointer finger out, because this compilation is truly the definitive version of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. With that, I will now end my cross-examination and deliver my verdict. Not guilty! Thanks for watching, and thank you to Capcom for giving me an excuse to point and yell OBJECTION into my mic. It's been fun, and I can't wait to see the rest of the Ace Attorney series make it to consoles or even a new game. One can dream. For more on Ace Attorney, Capcom, and of course all things Mega Man, stay tuned to ShadowRockZX. Until next time, rock on. What do you mean I can't rest because there's more work to do? Welp. There's only one response I have to that. OBJECTION!